Hello and welcome to Arnie's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Silent Witness. The library was silent, except for the faint hum of the fluorescent lights. Samuel, the janitor, moved methodically through the aisles, his mop gliding across the polished floor, oblivious to the cacophony of events that would soon shatter the stillness of this academic haven. For over a decade, he had been a fixture at Westbridge University, as much a part of its fabric as the towering shelves laden with dusty tomes. Mute since birth, Samuel spoke not with words, but with the eloquent language of his hands and the keen observation of his deep-set eyes. On this fateful night, however, those eyes would witness a horror that no gesture could easily convey. It began with the sound of muffled thud, barely perceptible over the rhythmic swish of his mop. Curiosity, that unassuming spark, drew him toward the history section, where the air grew thick with an unspoken tension. There, sprawled across the hardwood floor, lay Professor Elaine Whittaker, a letter opener buried in her chest, her lifeless gaze fixed on the ceiling. Blood pooled beneath her, a stark contrast to the pristine white blouse she wore. Above her stood a shadowy figure, cloaked in darkness, who turned at Samuel's approach. Their eyes locked for a fleeting second before the figure bolted, disappearing through the emergency exit with a speed that left the heavy door swinging in its wake. Samuel's pulse thundered in his ears. He wanted to scream, to summon help with a cry that would pierce the night, but his voice remained a prisoner within him. Dropping his mop, he sprinted to the security office, hands flailing in a desperate ballet of signs. The guard, a young man barely a month into the job, stared blankly, his confusion mirroring Samuel's frustration. Words unspoken hung heavy between them until, at last, the guard fumbled for the phone and the police were summoned. Detective Holly Arnold arrived minutes later, her sharp eyes sweeping the scene with practiced precision. At 28, she was young for her rank, but her reputation for ingenuity and empathy preceded her. Clad in a leather jacket and armed with a mind as incisive as any blade, she exuded a quiet confidence. As she stepped into the library, she spotted Samuel, his face etched with anguish, attempting to communicate with the flustered officers. His hands danced through the air, forming shapes she recognized from a long-ago course in sign language. "Wait," Holly interjected. "I know a little sign language." Her hands moved tentatively, rusty from disuse. "What did you see?" Slowly, deliberately, he signed, "Man kill Professor Run." Holly nodded, piecing together the fragments. "You saw the killer? Can you describe him?" His signs accelerated, a torrent of motion too complex for Holly's limited skill. She exhaled sharply, her breath a visible puff in the cool air. "I'll get an interpreter," she promised. "But first, let's see what the scene tells us." Together, they returned to the crime scene. Technicians dusted for prints, their brushes whispering against surfaces, while cameras clicked in a staccato rhythm. Holly knelt beside Professor Whittaker's body, noting the letter opener a mundane tool turned lethal and the chaos of the desk nearby. Papers lay scattered like fallen leaves, and a laptop sat dormant, its screen black. Amid the disarray, one absent stood out. The professor's latest manuscript, a work rumored to be revolutionary, was nowhere to be found. "She was working on something big," Holly murmured. "Where's the manuscript?" Was this a robbery spiraled into murder, or had the manuscript itself been the target? Holly turned to Samuel, her hand fumbling through another question. "Did you see anyone else here tonight?" Samuel signed a man argue, earlier than argument, with whom his fingers faltered. Holly filed the detail away, a puzzle piece awaiting its match. The investigation unfolds. The next hours blurred into a flurry of interviews. Holly began with Professor Marcus Langley, a colleague whose office down the hall bore the weight of academic rivalry. He sat stiffly, his tweed jacket as rigid as his demeanor. "Elaine was delusional," he said. "Her manuscript claimed our revered explorer, Sir Reginald Hawthorne, was a fraud. She had evidence, letters, maps, that would dismantle his legacy. I told her it was academic suicide." Holly pressed. "Yes, in the afternoon. But I left her alive and ranting." Holly brought Samuel to the meeting. Samuel's face remained impassive, offering no flicker of recognition. Langley, it seemed, was not the shadow from the library. Next, she tracked down Emily Carter, Professor Whitaker's graduate assistant. The young woman fidgeted in her cluttered office, her eyes darting like a trapped bird's. "I was supposed to meet her last night," Emily admitted. "But the library was locked when I arrived. I assumed she'd gone home." Holly's gaze landed on a coat draped over a chair, a bold pattern of red and black swirls. "Is that yours?" "Yes. Why?" "May I see it?" Reluctantly. Holly examined the sleeve, finding a small tear, a hint of violence. "Did you wear this last night?" "No, I mean, yes, earlier, but not to the library." Her words stumbled, uncertain. Holly's suspicion deepened, but before she could probe further, her phone buzzed. The interpreter had arrived. Decoding the silent witness. At the station, with the interpreter's aid, Samuel's story unfolded like a tapestry. His hands moved with precision, the interpreter giving voice to his silence. He saw 2 men that night. First, a man in a suit arguing with the professor about her work. He left, angry. Later, another man entered, a man with a scar on his face, wearing a dark coat. That's when it happened. 2 different people. The first was there earlier, and the second was the killer. Samuel nodded. She revisited the security footage, zooming in on the figure in the distinctive coat. The height, the gait, it suggested a man, not Emily. Perhaps the killer had taken her coat to mislead, or to frame her. But why her coat specifically? The question gnawed at Holly as she expanded her net. She learned of Mr. Gerald Thompson, a representative from the Hawthorne Historical Society, who had visited Whitaker that day, pleading with her to suppress her findings. His organization had built its prestige on Sir Reginald's legend, a legacy now at risk. When Holly and Samuel met Thompson, the janitor's hands erupted in frantic signs. He was there. The man from earlier. "I did see Elaine, yes. I begged her not to publish. It would ruin us, but I left by 6. Checked my alibi. His dinner companions confirmed his story." Yet Samuel's certainty lingered, a thread Holly couldn't yet unravel. Then came Dr. Victor Harrington, a rival historian from a neighboring university, in town for a conference. His rivalry with Whitaker was infamous, fueled by years of competing accolades. "I saw Elaine briefly," he admitted. "Tried to dissuade her from that nonsense. She wouldn't listen, so I left Samuel watching. He was near the library earlier." Harrington, Thompson both had motive, yet neither matched the scarred killer. Perhaps one had orchestrated the crime, hiring another to wield the blade. The labyrinth tightens. Digging into Harrington's past, Holly uncovered a tenuous link. A known criminal, Jake Malone, had been spotted in Westbridge that week. Jake, a thief with a scarred face, fit Samuel's description like a glove. She tracked him to a rundown bar on the town's edge. When Samuel saw him, his hands flew, emphatic. "That's him, the killer," Jake smirked under interrogation. "Yeah, I was there, hired to grab a manuscript." She fought back. "Things got messy." Holly demanded. He hesitated, then spat the name. "Emily Carter." Holly confronted Emily, who crumpled like paper in the rain. "I wanted the credit. Elaine was going to publish it all under her name. I asked Jake to steal it, but I never meant for her to die." Emily's ambition, Jake's blade, the sullen coat, the plan unraveled by violence. The manuscript, recovered from Jake's hideout, bore Whitaker's meticulous notes, its revelations poised to rewrite history. Echoes of silence. Emily and Jake faced justice, their fates sealed by a silent witness's unwavering truth. Samuel, hailed as a hero, returned to his mop and broom, though the university bestowed upon him a quiet honor plaque in the library etched with gratitude. Holly, reflecting on the case, enrolled in sign language classes, her fingers tracing new words with determination. The library resumed its tranquil rhythm, but the echoes of that night lingered, a testament to the power of understanding when words fail. In the end, the truth had spoken not through Sam, but through the resolute signs of a man who refused to be unheard. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had or have a great day.